Hello, good evening. Welcome to our front. Tonight we go heavy on the budget, the very last one before the election of 2020, the last one for the last year of this government's term. That's in Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government, and that particular budget, as we are being told, is promising very interesting things. One of the things you should also know about is that from 2017 to date, the finance minister of the Republic of Ghana says some 12.2 billion has been put in your pocket as a Ghanaian. That's what we're interrogating together what the future of the budget is for many. Also, those who thought that their expectations will be met, have they been met? We'll be hearing from labor. We'll also be hearing from businesses in the country on Upfront today. You welcome back. This is Upfront. Tonight, the Finance Minister of the Republic of Ghana says you have some 12.2 billion in your pocket. This is because of the various interventions this government has brought on board between 2017 and this day. Now, you should know this. From free SHS through to the planting for food and jobs and all the other many things this government has said, they said all of them put together is what's making you richer than you were before. It's increasing your spending power and making you more prosperous than you were before. Let me test this amount of money that we are told has been put in the pocket of Ghanaians with the people who are the expectations proud to the reading of this budget. On the line and joining me now is first Abraham Kumsin. Abraham Kumsin is a long-standing labor guy who's been advocating for the rights of labor people for a very long time in this country. He is with the Federation of Labor. He joins us together on the phone line with the Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana. Now, the two of them are the gentlemen I have on the line now. Let me first ask the Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association. He was pretty much enthusiastic about a possible reduction in the taxes constituting the cost of the gas people use to cook and do the other things at home. Gabriel Kumiga, welcome to our front.
Thank you very much, Raymond. Good evening to your viewers.
First, you and the grouping LPG Marketers Association of Ghana had on several occasions made it very clear that business is no longer going to be viable and that you are running a huge loss if we continue on the path of having to have the current taxes on your products. Are you, by the reading of this budget and what you've heard so far, impressed with the output in this budget?
Obviously, Raymond, to say we are disappointed is an understatement. We are so disappointed by the fact that the finance minister didn't take heed of all the arguments, all the cogent arguments we have made over the past few months and call for a total removal of all taxes on LPG. By this action of the finance minister, we believe that government's objective of increasing access and penetration of LPG from 25% to 50% by the year 2030 is just a political talk. Because you cannot keep taxes on a product, a mass product like LPG. You cannot continue to push taxes on such a product, increase prices, and expect to achieve an increment in consumption. I mean, this is basic economics. This is a product whose elasticity is very, very high. So the little push you give to price, the little push up you do to pricing, you are disenfranchising.
If I can hear you, Gabriel. Well, I'm afraid it looks like we lost Gabriel on the line there, and he was making the point that they are disappointed that government did not reduce taxes on the product LPG gas. They demanded that prior to this particular engagement. Let me go back to the phone lines because I did tell you that the labor gentleman who has been actively involved in the front of labor, Abraham Kunse with the Federation of Labor, is also on the line. Well, surely when we come back from this break, we should be able to get the two of the gentlemen giving us some thought on this matter. You're welcome back to Upfront. So today, we've been trying to take a preview of this budget that was released and actually read in Parliament today. The budget is promising you some 2.2 billion already in your pocket, not the new things this government would like to do. There are fresh things like critical roads that are going to be built in the various areas across the country, and government believes that this is the budget for progress and unity. Perhaps this is the budget that's taking us into the year 2022. Pretty soon, we'll start a conversation in the studio with the ranking member on the Finance Committee in Parliament, as in the man who's a former Deputy Finance Minister in the Republic of Ghana, and also the Member of Parliament in the area that I'm sure you know in the Central Region to be the specific constituency that he has actually been holding unopposed for 3 separate indications on his party's behalf. Keselatu Forson is joining me on this conversation. But let me go to the phone lines and conclude this conversation with Abraham Kumsin. Mr. Kumsin, you're welcome back to Upfront. Well, it doesn't look like you're going to be lucky on the phone line with him. Let me come back and introduce you. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
First and foremost, do you sense unity and a lot of progress in this budget?
I don't.
Of course, I mean, you're in the minority, so you have difficulties with it. But if for nothing at all, you should be impressed with the fact that this government, aside all its difficulties since 2017, has put in the pockets of the ordinary people in this country some 12.2 billion Ghana cedis.
Okay, thank you very much. Obviously, the government must present something to Parliament and under the laws of the Republic, and they are mandated to do that accordingly. So he did what is required of him. The content is what you and I have a responsibility as part of our oversight as members of Parliament to do justice with it. Now, he said the budget is a unity budget. Unity, I mean, trying to unite the country.
Yeah.
So in uniting the country, you don't come to Parliament and polarize it with political statements, casting aspersions that your opponent has done nothing, and you are obviously the best. So in the first place, that is a flaw.
Okay.
The second point is that he made mention of the fact that he's given about 2.2 billion Ghana cedis, and they tried to quantify a number and said that over the years they have removed certain taxes and quantify it to mean that they've given about 2 billion taxes. They have given a subsidy of about 1.8 billion Ghana cedis in the form of
free SHS, the other things.
Yes, 1.8 billion is coming from subsidy as a result of the reduction in energy,
electricity,
in the tariffs and all of that. Look, you will make a mistake if you look only at the other side without looking at the other side. My worry is that in as much as the government
are you questioning the expenditures?
Yes, no, not just the expenditures. This same administration has imposed certain taxes. When they came to office, recently they increased the CST by 50%.
Yeah.
How much money have they taken from the ordinary Ghanaian's pocket? They should quantify that. He did not quantify it.
Are you sure?
Oh, yes, of course.
It's not a net benefit.
It is not net.
4.2.
It's not net. So they should show us how much they've taken from people's pocket and then net it off from how much they have given to people, and so that we can see some transparent analysis.
I get your point.
So, the second
of course,
point
what all that they listed were the projects that they have done in PSHS and other things.
Exactly.
They didn't mention the other things.
We don't. So they are making one-sided argument.
Yeah.
So I want to ask them, fuel prices has been increasing since they took office from 2017 to date. How much money have they taken from people's pocket? They decided not to talk about it. They recently imposed the luxury vehicle tax. How much money have they taken from people's pocket, even though it was removed? They recently, again, decided to decouple the value-added tax component of the National Health Insurance Levy and then get fund.
Yeah.
What it means is that the value of the tax that they charge the ordinary person goes up, because the incidence of that tax is on the ordinary person or the businesses, because the consumption tax. So it went up. Yeah. Why have they failed to quantify all of that? In the same vein, during the period that they claimed that they actually subsidized fuel electricity by about 1.8 billion, how much subsidy have they, how much in effect, recently they increased the same tariff, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much more have they taken from people's pocket? To net it from the 1.8 billion that they have taken, they decided to be quiet about it. So you see, they are giving us one-sided argument painting a picture that they've given X amount of money to the ordinary Ghanaian. But if you go to the street, the ordinary Ghanaian will say they have not seen anything. They've not seen anything because they have actually taken more from the ordinary people than what they've given out. Let me tell you, BEC subsidy has been there since. We were paying BEC subsidy over the years.
Yeah.
Over the years.
It didn't start today, but has it not been increased? Has it not been increased?
It hasn't.
Really?
So what are they talking about? So if they say that they have taken some money for the purposes of, what do you call it, BEC subsidy, so they've done well, we should clap for them. Ordinary Ghanaian is benefiting about 12-point-something billion. My brother, it's a hoax. It is a hoax.
But free
SHS has happened.
Free SHS has happened. You're not disputing 1.8 billion because of
but you see, free SHS has also imposed some cost on the ordinary Ghanaian.
Really?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. You see, the
financial element has actually taken away.
You see, it is free, but it has also brought about some double track issues. That to the extent that some people don't have, you've posted my child maybe to another community, he's a day student, I have to go and rent for the child.
Well, your child only goes to school when they have to go to school.
Oh, brother, you see, he has to go to school when they have to go to school.
Yes.
But over the period, that person has to be housed.
Okay, so
he has to be housed.
A day student.
A day student.
Who is taken to a different community.
Different community.
But that problem was there before double track.
But you see, that problem was there before double track.
Yes.
But you see, it wasn't there in that scale. In fact, in the past, those who were going to boarding school, they were going a day school, they were going to day school in their locality.
You're saying that there's
in their locality,
taken to day schools outside their locality.
Outside their locality. And it's imposing additional cost to parents. I'm a member of parliament.
What numbers are we looking
People
at?
come to me. You see, it's difficult.
Not in your constituency, I'm talking about the entire country.
Yes, you see, over the country, we will have to look at the mathematics and then come out.
Yeah, but you don't have the figures.
But I'm telling you that I'm talking from my constituency example.
Oh, I see.
You see, people come to me and say that, Honorable Member of Parliament, as a result of double track and free senior high school, my child has been posted to X community. I do not have money to rent, even though the thing is free. So please, can you assist me with A or B to get a place for a child? It happens. It happens. And
GS can't fix this problem. Can't they just transfer the students to a boarding school?
That is another question. So that is why my argument is that government...
So these are unintended costs. That's on the parent. Anyway.
Unintended costs on the parent. So government will now have to not look at only one sided and say that I've given reliefs X amount. What about suffering you've given? He has given people a lot of suffering. AGI is complaining, people are complaining, businesses are shutting down, all of that, and you are saying that you have given 12.2 billion. Really? In the coming days, I'm also going to sit down and look at how much money this government has taken from people's pocket and publish accordingly.
By that,
in the coming days.
Introduction of taxes?
Yes, introduction of taxes, introduction of increases in fuel prices and all of that. So I also have that responsibility to sit down, quantify them, and then let Ghanaians know how much the ordinary Ghanaian, the President Akufo-Addo's government has taken from the ordinary Ghanaian.
So immediately, you're not saying that on the net side it's in the negative or in the positive. What you are saying is that, well, it cannot be exactly some 12.2 billion in your pocket.
It can be.
That's what you're saying.
I'm saying
that is just one side of the picture.
That argument is a hoax. It is only one-sided argument.
Okay.
You have to look at the other side of the argument and then draw a conclusion whether this administration has not increased the cost of living in this economy. They have. Cost of living index is going up. They cannot just come and tell us that they've given 12-point-something billion in nominal terms.
How do you know the cost of living is going up? We've been told that inflation is on the decline.
You see, I live in Ghana.
Yes.
It's on the decline doesn't mean there's no inflation.
Yes, of course. But the rate at which it's actually going up is actually on the decline.
Inflation was recently rebased.
Yeah.
And so because of the rebasing, you would think that it is declining at a faster pace.
Yeah.
But the rebasing itself brought it down because of the time series analysis that was done.
I get you.
So people often say that you cannot compare the rebased inflation now and then what has happened over the period.
Indeed, the statistical service even takes that particular stand.
Yes.
It's not. It sounds mischievous to compare it to previous years.
Exactly. So because of how it's done. But my brother, this budget do not profess the hope that the minister informs us.
Really?
I'm worried.
A budget that has critical roads that go to build in every
let me start from the road sector.
Yes, you have a difficulty with that?
I have a difficulty
They have listed critical roads. Do you have a difficulty with the critical roads?
They often cite the critical roads. Last year budget, we saw a number of roads this administration said
but those were predominantly going to be done by, Sino Hydro.
And others. Nothing has happened over the period. Nothing has happened. So this is an administration that promised all of us that X number of roads are going to be fixed over the period. Nothing has happened. Today they've come again to tell us they are going to fix X critical roads. Raymond, let me take you into the numbers. Because for them to fix the roads, you need money, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You need money. And the money can only be seen at the government expenditure lines. Let me take you to the appendices in the budget statement. And if you have your budget statement, you can refer. First of all, I'll take you to the
appendix are we talking about?
Appendix 3B, page 26, page 216 of the budget statement.
3B, yeah.
Okay, page 216 of the budget statement. Raymond, look at road fund. We know the duty of road fund. Road fund is supposed to do maintenance, fix our roads, and make it motorable.
Okay.
Over the period, government has consistently taken money that you and we are contributing for road fund to fix our roads through Carpet and Realignment Act. Today, they are saying that out of the taxes that you and we pay, an amount of 1.659 billion Ghana cedis will be accrued to the road fund.
Yeah.
That is there.
Yeah, I see it there.
Yes, that's it. Now I'll take you to the next appendix.
Taxes on domestic and yes.
So that is revenue. That's what they have said.
Yeah.
So I'll take you to appendix 3C, page 217.
Okay.
The same budget statement. The next page. And then come again to road fund and see the expenditure where it's going. And this one is economic classification of central government expenditure. Yeah. The first one I read is economic classification of central government revenue. So this one is expenditure. Again, come to road fund. Road fund is here. Under grant to other government units, you will notice that the amount going to road fund is 1,014,000,000.
Yes, there's a difference. Almost
there's a difference. So about 600 and something, about 650 million Ghana cedis difference. This is a government that is promising us they are going to fix the roads. We are contributing an amount that is supposed to fix the roads.
To maintain
to maintain the roads. You have taken 600 million Ghana cedis, and you are telling me I should clap for you are going to fix the roads. Where's the money coming from?
Where's the money
Just a billion?
To?
A billion. The money is going to consumption. The money is going to consumption to support the running of government machinery. That is what it is, consumption. I'll take you to the Ministry of Roads itself, budget statement. Okay, and then if you look at summary of MDA's allocation, and I'll take you to Ministry of Roads and Highways, Ministry of Roads and Highways in the budget statement. Okay, page 228. Page 228, Appendix 4D, summary of MDA expenditure allocation. Okay, that's for 2020. So let me take you to 2020 itself. 2020, page 224. Okay, page 224. Okay, page 224. And,
yeah, I've seen page 224.
Ministry of Roads and Highways. Look at Ministry of Roads and Highways. Okay, capital expenditure and the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Yeah.
1.2 billion. 1.2 billion. And
the entire ministry?
The entire ministry. Capital expenditure. And you think that is going to make a change in the economy.
To build all the
for you.
But we have signed hydro projects, one. Brother. We also have, but we always get money to do roads without necessarily coming from the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
You see, but where else? It's two main ways we get money for roads. The critical ones. We get road fund and we get Ministry of Roads. Okay. Road fund, we are paying through taxes. It is supposed to do maintenance. Since this administration took office, they have decided to take from road fund an amount over 2 billion Ghana cedis every year, year on year. Put together, 2 billion Ghana cedis. Raymond, my worry is that money they have taken from the ministry, from the Ghana, Ghana Road Fund, is equivalent to what Sino Hydro is bringing.
Really?
Yes, of course. Sino Hydro agreement is about $440 million. $440 million, of which government of Ghana is going to contribute the rest to top up to make it about $500 million. That money that they have taken from Ghana Road Fund for 2017, 2018, 2019, and in fact, in the year 2020, as projected here, is enough to take care of Sino Hydro Road. So the government does not mean what they are telling us. The budget, that's why I said it's a propaganda statement. They have let it look so nice. The devil is in the detail. Oftentimes I've told people that don't listen to just the talk. Look at the appendices where the money is being allocated. Because revenue, budget is about how revenue policies are going to bring in revenue and how you use expenditure policy to distribute the expenditure.
There's a gap between there's a gap between the revenue and the expenditure in this case. How has government told you is going to fund that gap?
Okay, they are going to borrow. They are going to borrow, and again, let me take you to the to it. Look at page 215.
Okay.
Page 215 of the budget statement, Appendix 3A.
Okay.
Appendix 3A. So the financing is there. The financing is there. So you see how much government says they are going to borrow. You have here net financing of 10 billion. They are going to borrow 22 billion Ghana cedis from the top.
Really? 20
You've seen it? Yes. No, this is not my document. It's there. Of which this 22 billion, project loans will bring about 4 billion. And then they are going to do program loans of about 1.2 billion. And then sovereign bonds is 17.155 billion. So they are going to the Eurobond market to bring in 17.15 billion Ghana cedis.
But this is within what they usually borrow.
Okay, and you know why you should be worried? You should be worried because the money is not going to productive areas of the economy. And I tell you, again, the same budget statement, go to Appendix 3C, page 217 of the budget statement. Page 217 of the budget statement, Appendix 3C. The devil is in the detail. The devil is in the detail. Look at it. Under capital expenditure.
Yes. So what's the capital expenditure?
Okay. Look, capital expenditure. The headline number is 9.26 billion.
Yeah.
Okay. We have two components of capital expenditure: domestically financed and then foreign finance.
Yeah.
Foreign finance capital expenditure are those kind of capital expenditure that Parliament approves.
Okay.
The loans that Parliament approves. So when you draw down,
domestic from the oil.
The domestic is from your own resources, oil and
oil
your own
3 billion
borrowing.
of the domestic.
Okay. So the domestic here is about 3.75 billion.
Yeah. So we are going to borrow 5.4 billion.
You are going to. So no, let me take you through. So you have domestic finance 3.7 billion, of which the 5.4 you are borrowing already. It's already loans that you are drawing down. You've borrowed already.
All right.
Now, and that is why you have here a program. You see, if you add the in the previous appendix, page 215, appendix 3A, if you add the project loans and the programs loans, you will get the 5.4 billion there.
I see.
And the foreign finance.
Oh, okay.
Because they are program loans.
They are all together.
They are all together. If you add the two, you will get the foreign finance 5.4. Now let us find out how the sovereign bond will be used. Raymond, that's my biggest worry in this budget.
The 17 billion.
The 17 billion.
Okay.
One would have thought that you go to the bond market, borrow from investors, invest it in areas that you can repay, isn't it?
Productive areas.
Productive areas. Yeah. That is what everybody says. That's what you should do. Capital investment, investment that can repay for itself. Unfortunately and sadly, that is what is wrong here. Out of this 3.7 billion domestic finance capital expenditure, oil revenue, the annual budget funded amount is paying is supporting it by 3.3 billion and 35 million. So what is left there is approximately $740 million Ghana cedis.
Yes, it is.
740 million Ghana cedis. So you are going to borrow 7.1 billion and spend only 740 million on infrastructure.
What's the rest going to go into?
Consumption. 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 This is my difficulty. You see, so oftentimes when you get a budget statement like this, and you just read what is that the fanciful things that is often written by politicians to create impression that they are doing well, you will make a mistake. And that is why we have always implementation problems.
Give me a second. Let me go to the phone lines and speak to the vice chairman of the LPG Marketers Association. Gabriel Kumiyu, welcome back. When we started speaking to you earlier on, the point you made was that you're not so impressed with the output in the budget. It talks mainly, the only reference to LPG marketers is to do with your cooperation in the implementation of the new recirculation module. There's no mention or there's no agreement to your request for taxes to be removed on your product. How is this going to affect you?
Thank you very much, Raymond. I mean, the definite silence of the finance minister on our appeal and request is quite worrying. I mean, you did mention cylinder recirculation. One of the main objectives of the cylinder recirculation was to increase consumption of LPG from the current 25% penetration level to 50% by the year 2030. But we believe that the government action, government refusal to accept our appeal, government is not too serious about the objective to increase consumption of LPG. Because as I did indicate earlier, for the past 3 years since the imposition of taxes, consumption of LPG has been very, very, very stagnant compared to the 16% growth we're doing over the 10 years from 2006 to 2015. And we had appealed to government to take off all the taxes if it really means business at increasing consumption of LPG from the current 25% penetration level to 50% by the year 2030. But it's clear that the objective of the cylinder recirculation that government wants to introduce can never be met. It's impossible. LPG is a product with a very highly elastic demand. So you cannot continue to push taxes on it to increase the pump price, and at the same time, you expect to achieve a double in consumption in the next 10 years. It's simply impossible. So we appeal to government to go back to the drawing table and look at the policy once more, because it has defeated the finance minister's action over the past 1 year. I mean, before the mid-year review, we had called for a removal of taxes, but the finance minister ended up pushing more taxes on the product. Now, LPG, a kilo of LPG is costing almost 6 cedis. The average cylinder, household cylinder, is now almost 100 cedis, 1 million. And we are talking about the ordinary Ghanaian whose average income is about 500 cedis. You expect him to use about 20 or 25% of such income to purchase just LPG for the month. We feel government does not mean business. Government is not serious at increasing consumption of LPG in this country. All over the world, LPG is now the fuel of choice. Globally, LPG consumption is on the rise. But in Ghana, we are stagnating. And our projection is that by next year, if the prices remain at where it is now, consumption of LPG will start declining. And we are all aware the effect of that on the environment. We are not sure government really, really wants to save our environment from further degradation. We are not sure government really wants to save our forests from degradation. By this action, we believe the cylinder recirculation model is now seriously in defect because the objective can never be met. We can't meet the objective.
Distribute some 60,000 LPG cook stoves to rural communities. This is because they have a program called the Rural LPG Promotion Program. Mindful of the cost implications you just outlined, is this a good idea?
It's not. It's a waste of money because at the end of the day, if you give the stove to the people and they are not able to afford the product, you are just wasting money. Raymond, all these stoves we've been giving out, they all end up in the cities. We give out the stove, we don't even follow it up with education, and the product is also so unaffordable. Availability per se does not guarantee consumption. The fact that you make the stove and other things available does not mean that people can consume the product because the product is beyond the reach of the ordinary Ghanaian. As I did indicate in our previous conversation, if you look at the actual domestic consumption of LPG, it's being consumed by the upper middle income upwards. The lower middle income downwards, that is the critical mass that we need to push out the government agenda, are not able to afford the product. So if you are paying deaf ears to all the appeals, all the good reasons you are giving to take off taxes from the LPG, and at the same time you are telling us that you want to double consumption in 10 years. I mean, that's a joke, a big joke. It's a big joke. We can never increase consumption of LPG if we keep the prices at where it is, if we don't take off all the taxes from LPG. LPG, mind you, LPG is a product we use to subsidize in this country. We subsidize the product. Now we are not subsidizing, we are not even leaving it at cost. We are putting 25% tax on LPG. And at the same time, we want the ordinary Ghanaian. How much are they paid? Raymond, how much are you paid to be able to pay 100 cedis for LPG in a month?
That's interesting.
Just LPG.
Now, the question is, what's the way forward for your grouping? What are you going to do to meet up cost and continue in business?
Raymond, government should expect that employment in the sector is going to go down because the current employment is being supported by the current consumption. So as soon as consumption starts to dip, expect that there will be more job losses in the sector because we cannot keep the same employment, the same labor force, whilst consumption, which is supposed to support this kind of labor force, is declining. So in the coming years and in the coming months, the unemployment situation in this country is going to go up because the consumption of LPG is going to dip, and as soon as consumption starts dipping, there will be unemployment in the sector.
Well, terrible situation there. Many thanks to you for joining us. Gabriel Kumi is the Vice Chair of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana. And we just wanted to know from the people who receive this budget and operate with them, and this is a business anyway, what their reaction is to the specific things that were promised in this particular budget. I'll come in studio. Hopefully I'm able to also get to the labor unions and find out whether they are excited by the many things that have already put 12.2 billion in their pockets and the other things that are being promised. So this is an interesting development. They are virtually saying we are going to sack workers. We will be compelled to go out of business if the current tax regime is not improved and the taxes are not reduced on the product LPG.
It's not their fault. I think he rightly said that the demand for LPG is very elastic.
Okay.
Meaning that if the price get to a level, people have options and they may decide to move away to use other options. And so therefore, because of the taxes that the government has actually increased or put on this LPG product, people are moving away from the consumption or the usage of LPG gas. That is a fair comment. But you know, this is an administration that promised that they are going to move from taxation to production.
To production, yeah.
This is a business telling us that the so-called production policy has been very unproductive.
Give me a second. Let me go to the phone lines again and get to speak to the Ghana Federation of Labour. Abraham Kumsin heads that particular grouping. Mr. Kumsin, you're welcome to our front.
Thank you.
Do you sense the hope, progress, and unity that's been promised in this budget?
Your line is still free.
If you can hear me, sir, I'm asking whether or not, as you sit today and you've gone through the budget and heard what has been delivered, do you sense that there is hope in this particular budget?
We are just going, it's about 280 pages, and so I've gone through one, and I've not seen what I was expecting. Maybe I've, overlooked certain paragraphs. So I'm going back, but so far I've not seen any input that organized labor, proposed, because sometimes this deception is not good for us. Can you imagine the finance ministry wrote to us dated 25th October, inviting us for a meeting at the Ministry of Finance for our input. We spent sleepless nights to prepare our position. And we submitted it. That, I think it was Tuesday, the 5th. Nothing featured, nothing. I haven't. That's why I'm still.
Okay, I get your point.
We haven't seen anything. So I don't know how they come by this. They have already finished what they want to present.
Mr. Kumsin, maybe if you tell us exactly what were your proposals, we would understand what they were and why you wanted them included in the budget. What are the main things that you thought would be prudent for the goodwill and the goodness of workers in this country? They ought to be included.
You see, in fact, we were, organized labor. We had TEC there, we have DFL there, we have quotas there, we had the nurses there. So they all came from different angles. But we confine ourselves to the textile industry.
Okay.
An industry which used to employ over 25,000. We now have only 2,000 left, even below 2,000 left. And we think that if government is really serious to create jobs, as they have been, saying, then what prevents them from helping to reactivate that industry? And we felt that it was, and we have engaged the Ministry of Trade for far too long, and we think that by now, something should be presented to the Ministry of Finance, which we did about 4 days ago. I was even wondering whether the budget that is going to be read on the 13th, then you assemble representatives from the organized labor on the 5th. So how can this? So the game that they are playing, I can't understand. And we made a presentation which we feel that if they had considered it, it would have helped their own, job creation policy that they have been.
I see. Now, in the budget, the only reference to the textile industry is what's happened in 2019. They say that there was support to the local textile industry with the extension of the TAP policy to cover textiles in order to curb smuggling and support local textile manufacturers by zero-rated VAT on sales of locally manufactured textiles to make them more affordable. This is what government did. Not good enough?
Maybe that's what I'm saying. 280 pages. Maybe I'm rushing through. So let me go back over it and then see if what you are saying, addresses the concerns that we have raised. But I'm not very clear. Maybe I've not seen that paragraph. Paragraph. Can you please let me know the paragraph that you are referring to?
So this specific one is in 584. And to be fair, it talks about tax policy reforms, which is helping your industry. That's a textile reference you made.
There's nothing happening today because the thing is, according to the government, the industry should be exempted from VAT payment for a period of 3 years. And that also goes with the single corridor policy, and then tax camp and task force and all these things. But as at now, the other measures that will complement the VAT exemption are not being applied. And so the impact or the effect on the industry is not much. It's rather it is getting worse. Because now if you go to the market, the whole place is flooded. You go to Kumasi, you go to Accra, you go to Accra market. These smuggled goods are seen all over the place. Meanwhile, in their policy, they claim that the only entry point should be the Tema port. But these goods are coming from all over the place. The land board everywhere coming from, and it appears that it goes to undermine the government's own policy that is to encourage private investors, big jobs, and that sort of thing.
Mr. Compson,
so we were expecting to see some concrete. I've not seen that paragraph that you are referring to, but I'll look at it.
Well, I get you, but I thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm sure we can do further engagements on what your expectations were and how they have not been fulfilled, at least for now, in the budget that was read today. Many thanks to you. So, Abraham Kosi, the Secretary General of the Federation of Labour, and they had made proposals after the meeting with the Finance Ministry on specifically the textile industry and the improvements they sought to see there. So, two, and honorable, one from the LPG Marketers Association, which also made proposals. They wrote officially to the Finance Ministry, detailing some of the things that they wanted, and also the Ghana Federation of Labour. These two institutions are basically saying that what we asked for was not given. And we don't think that this will be in our interest.
Okay. Raymond, I have problems, particularly with the LPG situation.
Okay.
This is a country that we get LPG for free from the 10 fields.
Free?
Free, per the agreement.
Okay.
So why can't we decide to do it in such a way that is going to relieve the ordinary Ghanaian? We have it for free. As part of the 10 field, the Talo agreement. You can check. It's free.
Okay. I see.
If you're having it for free, why can't you give it, even if you are not giving it for free, can you subsidize how much you would have sell it? Now you are selling it at high prices, but at the same time, you are slapping taxes on it. The impact is not on the businesses alone, but the impact is on the environment.
That's true.
The
reason why we introduced it was just because we wanted to save the environment.
Today,
in this era of climate change and its related effects.
The same GNPC is spending money, giving money to Ochehenin Palace for the purposes of environment.
Yes,
to plant trees.
Okay.
For the environment.
And yeah,
so what is in there? You see the contradictions.
That's interesting.
You see, and it's important for you to marry all of this and come into conclusions. The way the management of the economy is going, people are managing it in silos. Government policies are not communicating with each other. And that is why we are not seeing results. This taxes on LPG is needless.
Okay.
It's needless. We have to remove it ASAP to create relief for the ordinary Ghanaian. And I'm telling you, and he was right when Mr. Kumi said that the government is going to waste money, buy the cylinders, distribute to rural folks. How many rural folks can afford 100 Ghana cedis per cylinder? How many of them? They can't, because the price out there is expensive. And so the rural folks, these are people that have options. In Accra, probably options are even very difficult.
Yeah,
but these are people that they have access to trees and all of that. They will cut them and use charcoal.
Go back to what we opposed in the first place.
So that is the problem. They are wasting money. Government policy is not communicating with each other. And that is where the problem is. And that is why I said government policy of moving from taxation to production has been very unproductive. This is the same administration that promised all of us, as part of their manifesto, that they are going to reduce the corporate income tax from 25% to 20%.
20%.
This is their last budget. Nothing was said about it.
There's no reference to it.
Nothing was said about it.
This was in the manifesto.
This was in the manifesto, from 25% to 20%. But rather contrary, you know what they did? And claimed that they have not imposed taxes. One, the National Fiscal Stabilization Levy was supposed to end in December 2014 and 17. Okay. 5%. So it is 5% on the corporate income tax of some cases, mining 30% and then ordinary companies 25%.
Okay.
Now you are paying additional 5%. This government, contrary to
of the fiscal stabilization levy.
Yes, it's 5%.
On the 25%.
Yes. So if you're a company that the National Fiscal Stabilization Levy affects you, like a mining company,
okay,
they pay 30% tax.
Okay.
So you are going to pay 5% extra.
So 35%.
35%.
Instead of removing it.
Yeah, instead of removing it. They first of all extended it in the year 2017.
Yeah.
For 2 good years. So that tax is supposed to end December 2019, this year. What the Minister of Finance has informed us is that, simple, they are going to bring a new bill to Parliament, virtually reimpose the tax for 3 more years. And he says there's no tax increase. Interesting. Interesting.
Well,
there's no tax increase.
He was very emphatic about the no tax part.
Yes, and they think they can play with semantics and create impressions that they are doing well. But you see, the ordinary Ghanaian is discerning. The ordinary Ghanaian will listen to you, but the reality is there. They know. Businesses know what is happening. So I would have thought that before you say that, contrary to your promise that you are going to remove reduce the corporate income tax from 25% to 20%, this is your last budget. You failed to even apologize to the people of Ghana. You failed to make mention of it. And now you are telling us you've answered you have fulfilled your promises. You have moved. So, and he said boldly that they have moved from production, taxation to production. Impressive.
Now,
impressive.
You raised some issues prior on Monday.
Yes.
Did the issues play out in this budget?
Yes. I have very critical issues, and the minority caucus will have meetings in the coming days for us to come out to the opposition. I'm not in a position to give us our lines yet. My issues were simple. Two major concerns. One is the treatment of the energy sector payment. You recall, as part of the minister's statement, he said that as part of the subsidy during the period, they have given money about 1.8 billion to ordinary Ghanaian in the form of subsidy. You heard him. That out of this is 12.2 billion.
Yes, 1.8 billion.
Okay. The energy sector payment, money that the government owes to IPPs, independent power producers, is 5.1 billion Ghana cedis. This administration is telling us, all of us, that 5.1 billion, they are going to treat it as amortization instead of expenditure. What it simply means is that, one, amortization, what it means, if you look at the Government Finance Statistics Manual 2014 by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, it gives you the clear definition of what amortization is. And this is what every country uses in their fiscal reporting. And it says that amortization is the payment of a debt that is recorded in the balance of payment.
Okay.
Okay. You are not paying for interest, but a debt. So when I come to you and loan some money from you, and I'm paying not the interest, but the principal, is amortization.
I see.
So you treat it as negative expenditure. You don't add it to the expenditure.
Yeah.
Because you've taken the money already and you've spent it.
Okay.
So else you count it twice. And that is why it is negative expenditure in the fiscal. In fact, fiscal economists will say below the line expenditure. It's a technical word. Now, what they have done, simple put, is that this administration, instead of recording subsidy, oftentimes subsidies has been recorded as and always as expenditure. Now they have removed it from the expenditure. They have spent the money but added it to the public debt. What it simply means is that the fiscal deficit, as reported, is underreported by 5.1 billion Ghana cedis.
Really?
Simple put. That is what it is. And that is why we have consistently informed the Minister for Finance that we will not accept the treatment. Because what they are trying to do is to paint a positive picture of themselves, that they are doing well. You know, there's something we call primary balance. The primary balance is your revenue minus expenditure that accrued interest payment. That's primary balance. Yeah. What it means is that anytime you have a surplus primary balance, a positive primary balance, debt accumulation reduces at a decreasing rate.
Okay.
So you know how we cut them. Primary balance is the main driver for debt accumulation. So whilst the primary balance is showing positive, then the debt accumulation should actually be coming slower. Unfortunately, debt accumulation is skyrocketing. In fact, between January...
But the minister says they have actually reduced debt accumulation.
This is an administration...
The rate has gone down.
It is not true. I don't know where he's getting his mathematics from. They took public debt from 120.3 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah, 120.
Yes, 120.3 billion.
No, 122.
No, not 122. 120.3 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
That is how much they took the public debt from. Today, in his own budget statement, and I refer you to page 43 of the own budget statement, page 43 of his own budget statement, and I read, Mr. Speaker, as at end September 2019, the nominal public debt was 208.565 billion Ghana cedis. So, approximately, paragraph 180, the public debt as of September has been increased to 208.6 billion Ghana cedis.
For 120?
From 120.
So
they've added, difference. It's more than, it's about 90 billion,
okay.
88 point something billion.
I get you.
So it's about 90 billion Ghana cedis that they've added to the public debt.
Yeah.
In a space of 32 months in office. 32 months. Raymond, between July 2018 to July 2019, this administration increased the public debt by 45.7 billion Ghana cedis. You could see that the public debt is increasing at an increasing rate. Increasing at an increasing rate. That is what is happening to our economy. So the primary balance as reported can certainly not be correct.
Not be positive.
No, it cannot be. And you see, mathematics does not lie. Economics theories are tested and proven. It is not for nothing that we often say primary balance is the driver for debt accumulation.
I see.
And that's what I said. When you say that, Raymond, let's do basic mathematics. If you have revenue of 100 Ghana cedis and you spend 200 Ghana cedis,
100
you
negative.
have 100 negative. That 100 negative you are going to borrow to fund it. So in effect, what it means is that you are adding to your debt stock by 100 Ghana cedis. If that continue for years, you are getting, for 10 years, you are getting 1,000.
That's true.
Okay. Now, you are getting 1,000, all right, but you are saying that the fiscal deficit is not up to 1,000. There's something wrong.
I see.
You see, and that is why I've often said that no matter the propaganda you play with the fiscal deficit numbers, the public debt will expose you. And I'll give you another example. Another example is that recently, government of Ghana has decided to have an arrangement with Fidelity Bank, where government contractors are paid through factoring. I know you are aware of that.
Yeah.
In the year 2018, they paid contractors an amount of 1 billion Ghana cedis. 1 billion Ghana cedis. This amount was not processed through GIFMIS. This amount did not add to public expenditure, yet it added into, they added it to public debt because they gave Fidelity Bank a debt instrument. Again, this year, they are saying they are working with Fidelity, and you've heard government officials saying this. And in fact, some contractors, I've seen some agreement between Fidelity Bank and then Ministry of Finance and the contractors, where what government has done is that, one, they have gotten Fidelity to finance government liability or claims up to 2 billion Ghana cedis. Fidelity Bank, in return, is getting government bonds or treasury note, of which it will be serviced by the state. This amount will add to the public debt, but again, they are not processing it through GIFMIS, and again, this is not adding to expenditure. So in the year 2018, the fiscal deficit as reported and the primary balance as reported excludes the 1 billion Ghana cedis. In the year 2019, they are doing the same thing with Fidelity Bank. And another 2 billion is not in the fiscal table, it's not in it. So how can I trust the numbers? That is where I have a problem. That is why I have a problem. And up to date, government has not come to say anything concrete to us. They have not. We are taking you through technicalities and prove to you that you are cooking the numbers. Come and let's debate it. And Raymond, ironically, when we met with the IMF, at a meeting held with the Finance Committee of Parliament, made up of MPP members and NDC members and the IMF, you know what the fund told us? Because I asked the question. One, with the treatment of the energy sector payment as amortization, that I disagree. The fund told us that they agree with us, and they have communicated to the Minister for Finance that they should effect those changes.
But did it appear in this budget?
It didn't.
It didn't.
In fact, the fund said that in their own fiscal framework, they are going to make that statement and then correct it before they submit to the board. I'm waiting for their board document to come, and then we can verify it.
Honourable, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
you.
The
Honourable Member of Parliament is actually the ranking member on finance in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. He speaks for the minority on financial issues and also a former Deputy Minister of Finance. Of course, we'll still be staying with the budget, which was just read today, and the various elements to which you also heard from Labour groupies, specifically the grouping, the Federation of Labour. Abraham Kumsin said they're not impressed with it, and also the LPG Marketers Association insisted it did not reflect what they had asked for, reduction in taxes on LPG products. Thank you so much for joining us on today's Upfront.